So I wanted to share with you a painting that I did, and I made the frame. Yes, I made the frame myself. Now this wasn't an easy task, and I even include in this video some of the mistakes that I made so that you won't do the same things if you decide to. Frames have just gotten way too expensive. I don't frame a lot of my art, but some of my art people want frames, and sometimes I just want to put a frame on a piece. But I wanted to share with you this first clip of why I do not allow my husband to work with me. Wonderful man, I'm the artist, he's the engineer. We've been married for years and years and years, but he always feels that he has to interject his thoughts. Love the man to death, but you'll hear what I put up with this sweet engineer man. Just wanted to share this so you all will subscribe to my channel because you know that I need your love. Here, it's recording.
It's going right at me. It's going right at me, sure.
Stand over there.
Thin coats, multiple thin coats.
I don't want you in the video. We're gonna hear you.
Well, you have to hold it upright for one thing.
Like this? Like this?
I'm moving the movie. I can't talk to you and move the movie at the same time. Ah, jeez. No matter where you go, it's going right at me. Put it on too thick, Cheryl. Okay, stop right there.
Put it on the rest.
Stop right there and let it dry.
Okay. Alright, so I had this great idea to make my own frames, or at least try to make a frame and see if I could do it. So I went to Lowe's, and in the wood department by the wood sections on aisle 51 are these long boards. These are 8 by 8 feet. The ones I got in this video are 6 feet, but they're like a 1 by 2 and they're pine, and they worked great. It turned out in the end perfectly, but the process was a little rough. I had the initial idea to get stain, and one of the guys in the store, Jorge, that I always go to when I get my paints, said to get the gel stain. So that's what I initially got. I will use it, but I show you what happened when I used it and the mistakes I made. What I'm going to do today is show you what I'm working on. I have this painting, and it is one of the thinner canvases, which I'm okay with because these are great. I live in a metropolitan area. A lot of people live in homes like with townhomes, homes with smaller spaces, apartments in Washington, D.C. And so they like the thinner because there's not a lot of room, especially in hallways. So what I'm working on is trying to see what I can do about making a frame. So what I did was I went over to Lowe's and I got these boards, and they are a 1 by 2 by 6 select pine. There's the sticker. And I'm gonna next time get 8 feet because I can fit that in my car. I have a small car. I wanted to see if it would fit. But how I measured it is I took my painting and I measured the length, which was 24 by 30. And it's easier than you think. I don't know the rest of the process, but it's a 24 by 30. Okay, that's what this is. So then I took this is called a miter box. A lot of you may know this. This is something I've learned. And I took my wood and measured the length that I needed. So to get the angle of the cut that I wanted, you have to use your saw this way. Now, if this works, I'm going to get an electric saw, but right now this is what I'm using because it's what my husband has in his stuff, and I had to buy the rest, but I'm not going to buy an electric saw if this doesn't go well for me. So you take the wood and you've measured it out and say, here's your point right here, all the way down to 24 inches, and you put the wood in the miter box. Here's where the cut is. There's the 24 right there. Say this is together. And then you're going to saw, like that. You get down to the bottom and it gets cut in half. Now, I'm an artist, so I had to think through this, but I wanted to make sure I had my cuts. You have to do the opposite. I know you know this, but you have to think through it. The opposite has to be going the other way, the other angle. You know what I mean? So once you do that, I got a corner clamp. I actually only got one, and then I ordered a couple more because they were only like $16 or $17. Only, I say only, but in the end, when you add up the cost of a frame, and if these work, which I think they will, the cost of doing these is going to be so much less than a $70 or $80 frame. And I can make them the color I want. So you unloosen this. You get your wood glue. I'll show you what I'm going to use on the end. So I got some Gorilla wood glue. And I have one gluing down there. It takes 24 hours for this to glue. So I'm putting the glue down on the corner. Wipe off the excess. And I'm going to glue the corner together. Now to get this to be a really wonderfully tight corner, I'm going to use this tool. Make sure they're nice and flush with each other. Tighten this up all the while, making sure this is nice and flush against each other. So I'm going to have to actually put something under this other end here to prop it up and make sure I have it nice and flush. Tighten this up. Corner tight. So, okay, flush and flush. All right, so I have one corner down there that I did last night, actually 24 hours ago, two that I'm working on now, and then this last corner should go together really well if I've done it right. Okay, I'm gonna wipe this off. Get another corner. These just came in Amazon, so perfect timing to show you. Here's the last one. A lot of people go to a woodworker and have these made, but if you're an artist that is still working to build your business, and this intrigues you, every penny counts. So this is a little rougher. Still watching this other corner. This is a little rougher right here. So I'm gonna have to use some wood putty when it comes to, see, it's got a little gap there. I'm going to use some wood filler, which I'm going to show you my thoughts on how to do that. So I'm using this to tighten up this corner. These are going to go together. Make sure. I'm going to prop up the end down here. So I've got all four sides done. But that definitely has a gap in there, so the wood filler, once this dries, I'll put another video out to show you how I'm going to fill that. Okay, so I have all of them drying. My frame is going to go in here when I'm done. There. And then I can finish it either with a natural wood. I'm going to finish it off with a nice polyurethane coat, or I can use, this is a flat primer and paint that I can use. This as a flat black, which is what I want for that particular painting. So that feels good. I have 3 of them drying, 1 already dried. Close up my wood glue, and I'll just take you through the next step when I get to the next step. Okay, I'm gonna now, this fits perfectly. So I took my frame and then I took my painting and it fits perfectly. So it's very flush. I mean, it's the same size. So I can, on the back, I'll show you, I have a couple ideas for how to finish off the back. All right, so now everything is looking really good. There are a couple spots that I want to fix. So I'm going to use the wood filler. It's really thick. Fill that in. Not too bad on the edge, just that one little spot there. Get over here. I can barely see anything, but I'm going to go ahead and just push them down in there. walnut color, so I probably should have wood filler that's clear if I'm going to have a frame that is not going to be sprayed black. So, different colors of wood filler. Okay, what I'm doing in this stage is the glue has dried and I'm going in with a piece of manual sandpaper and I'm just working on the edges to make them nice and smooth. What I found was there was some glue that had seeped through and it was really difficult to get off, which later when I went to do the stain, and I did at first try to do a nice natural stain, it didn't go over very well that corner because I just didn't prepare the wood right, or I'm new at this. So on this, I had noted before, it is really important to get the glue, wipe the glue off really well when it's seeping through, and two, use, if you're going to stain it and not spray paint it or paint it a darker color, really make sure that you get that, put the wood filler, make sure you get you use the right color first of all, and you know, make sure that it's down in there so it doesn't show, because it caused me a problem when I went and did the stain, which is okay because it was a learning experience for me. Right now I'm using a brad gun to just ensure that the two, where I glued them together, which was pretty steady, pretty glued together, but I'm using that brad gun just to make sure that they are together and then nailing them in. So I turned the sound down because I think the scraping of sandpaper is kind of like the equivalent to nails on a chalkboard. But I'm sanding down the pine wood, and that's what it says to do before you add the stain. And this part goes really well. I'm sanding it down. Of course, the corners still, I can still see some of the dark. And what happens, I learned when you put the stain on, that's just going to darken everything. So I'm wiping down all the dust, and I did, you know, there was a part that I cut out where, you know, I got like a vacuum and pulled some of the dust off of other places, but I got the beautiful gel. I got a gel that was recommended, and it is really a gel, so I actually had to put a stick in there and stir it. But he says to just pull it out and rub it on the wood, and it was absolutely beautiful, other than the corners. I just didn't like what the corners looked like. So I learned my lesson. When you do the corners, make sure you get the glue off and make sure that your wood filler is clear. So you'll see what I do next. So I decided to go back to my original thoughts of painting the frame black, and I really like it better. It's that matte black, and it turned out absolutely beautiful. So I am glad in the end I decided to do it black. I will try again the stain because I want to perfect that. But I did this outside because I did probably 4 coats. I did sand this down again before I added the black to make sure there was something for the paint to adhere to. And I did. I held the can upright. I sprayed it at a distance it said to spray it, and I then did about 4 coats, and it just really turned out what I wanted it to turn out. So to finish off this frame, I use these 2-hole stainless steel flat, they're like plates that I found that I put on the back to adhere the wood to the back of the frame. And then I use, of course, the D-ring and the wire, and there's a lot of videos on how to do this. If you want me to do a video on finishing backs of canvases, I will, but this is just an example of how I finished the back of this particular project. So I appreciate you watching this long video and the different groupings that I put together to make into one, and I hope it made sense. I hope this helps you. If there's anything else that you want me to show you from my art practice and journey, I will. And I would love for you to give this a thumbs up and subscribe if you found this helpful at all.